The theory of change narrative. So, what is the purpose of the ToC narrative and what shall we include in the ToC narrative? Regarding the purpose of the ToC narrative, the purpose is to explain, in fact, the information to users that, or to the donors of your project, that what is not easily communicated in the ToC graphic that you have done. We use the ToC narrative to convey the degree of certainty that change will unfold as depicted in the ToC diagram, and to outline conditions that could threaten the progress along the pathways of change. We do not use the theory of change narrative to summarize what is obvious in the ToC diagram. We do just not go about and explain step by step exactly how the connections are done in the ToC diagram. Everybody can see that. But how shall we proceed with the ToC narrative writing? If you check your proposal template, you will see that your ToC starts after the introduction. Remember essay 1 that you can use for the introduction of the project proposal. The end paragraph of this introduction is about the overarching problem that you are facing in that region. So you can start your ToC section by stating the overarching goal, the positive transformation of the overarching problem, and also refer to the domains of change you have identified in your theory of change. After this, you can start then explaining your project interventions or outputs and which domains of change you are targeting, the purposes of the project. You will go about explaining how do you think that your outputs will unfold change in the given context, drawing on the assumptions you have made on why should an output unfold into an outcome and why will then the outcomes thereafter unfold on their turn into other outcomes, and so on and so forth until the domain of change is achieved, and after that the contribution to the goal of the project. So what do we include in the ToC narrative besides structuring it like that? Well, like I said, you draw on the project assumptions that you made on why should one outcome unfold into another. And you should include, where necessary, articulation also of rationales explaining why outcomes will unfold in the way that you have foreseen in your theory of change graphic. You can use text, web links, or references to evidence that supports connections between the outcomes. And you should also identify and clarify the role of other actors. This is important, the scale of other actors' interventions relative to your project coverage. The likelihood other actors or other projects will achieve their necessary outcomes, or the risks to the project if other actors do not achieve their outcomes. The project level of collaboration with other actors. These are all important things that should be addressed in the theory of change narrative, which are difficult things for you in a classroom setting, but are things that you should be taking in consideration if you are working on the field. You should as well, if possible, include descriptions on how necessary outcomes and outputs produced by other actors will be monitored in the framework of your project. For helping you in writing your theory of change narrative, you could have a table where you collect your assumptions and rationales and also the evidence base for those assumptions or rationales, the references, literature that you may have found for supporting the assumptions you are doing. So this can help you then afterwards on writing the narrative, and you should deliver this table as well as an annex to your project proposal. Here the same thing as an example for the rationales.